Hello there, welcome to Health Options, the very first edition in 2020. I am Rabi Abdullah. Thanks for joining us on the program. Good health remains one of the basic needs of individuals, irrespective of status in the society. This is the reason why government, as a major key player in any society, considers the issue of health as critical and fundamental. How has this played out for the health sector in 2019? A new year provides opportunity for stock taking and time to look forward to new prospects. That's why this edition of Health Options brings you the high and low points, successes and failures of the Nigerian health sector in 2019 as we review the year. The year 2019 began on a promising note for the health sector when President Muhammadu Buhari walked the talk and rolled out the Basic Healthcare Provisions Fund, that is the fundamental funding provision under the National Health Act, appropriated for the first time in the 2018 budget since the Act was signed in 2014 and also appropriated for in 2019. The implementation of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund took place during the launch of the Universal Health Coverage documents, following which the Federal Ministry of Health issued guidelines and criteria for states' participation and the subsequent disbursement of over 6 billion naira to 15 states and the Federal Capital Territory.
One of the key things that we have taken on board since we came in June is how to make health insurance better delivered to Nigerians. We started with taking a motion that looks at the challenges in that sector. As at the time we came in, there was no leadership even in that place. So based on the motions passed by the National Assembly, the President appointed a new leader. But on our part, there was an act that was passed, a bill that was passed by the last National Assembly, but was not signed. So we are able to represent it back, and it has undergone both the first and second reading. We are able to look at why the President did not sign in the first system, and we have been able to enable or create a dialogue between all the involved stakeholders, so that this time around, I'm sure by the time we resume back in January, February, we will have a new public hearing and be able to represent for third reading. But has undergone 2 readings. The other act, but in addition to that, we are not only waiting for the bill. Just as I said, we have engaged the various stakeholders, including the NHIS, the Federal Ministry of Health, and all other stakeholders in insurance, to see how NHIS will start, even before the bill, implement the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, the component, because 50% of that fund is allocated to NHIS. We were aware that they have been able to mobilize funds to 15 states, but we said it's all 36 states plus FCT that should benefit from that fund, and we are making it. In addition to that, as Parliament, one of the things we did was to set our agenda, and we have been able to, we've held within this short time, between, I think about, specifically in October this year, we had a national summit where we invited all the chairmen of health committees of the 36 states and the commissioners of health, and all of them were the speakers and the chairman of appropriation committee of all the 36 states, for them to be able to have an understanding of their role in making health insurance to work in their state. We'll be able to see that so far we have about 30 states that have enacted appropriate law for NHIS. We still have 6. Those 6 that are outstanding, we are providing necessary technical and other support to them for them to be able to do that. So this is what we are doing as far as health insurance is concerned. I think in the next quarter of next year, it's our hope that most of these activities that we have engaged in the last quarter of this year will become will come to fruition, and Nigeria will start to enjoy better health insurance across board.
The National Demographic and Health Survey indicates that the efforts of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and partners saw the push of the needle of immunization coverage in the right direction, registering an increase from 38% in 2013 to more than 50% in the year under review. Still on child survival and immunization, 2019 saw the visit of the delegation from the Global Alliance for Vaccine Initiative, Gavi, considered as a welcome development as it comes after a dark period that saw Nigeria closed out of Gavi support due to misuse of funds meant for vaccine procurement and health system strengthening, detected between 2011 and 2013, which the federal government had to repay as the country was at the verge of losing funding support for its routine immunization program. The 2019 visit of Gavi to Nigeria was seen as timely and showed the restored confidence that Gavi has in the leadership of the health sector. In line with Gavi's health system strengthening objectives, the Gavi leader, Dr. Saith Beckley, launched cold chain equipment at Alaita Primary Health Center to help improve vaccine storage. Nigeria maintained its no wild polio status in the year under review, with a higher guarantee of getting polio-free certification quite soon.
While we have made slight progress with strengthening the primary healthcare system in Nigeria, next year will be the year of PHC revitalization. In 2020, we will be galvanizing all stakeholders towards the development of a compelling 10-year investment case and development of a roadmap for primary healthcare, strengthening and universal health coverage for all Nigerians.
In the area of immunization, we have seen remarkable improvement in the government commitment and also the partners coming together to support government. The coverage for immunization has actually improved, and also more commitment between the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the Global Alliance for Vaccine coming together to have a harmonized work plan looking at the 10-year plan.
The agenda of the president is to expand primary health care, and by now we have about 40% of them revitalized and functioning. But we also want to improve the capability altogether by making them function around the clock, which means you must have light, you must have water, and must have quarters for the staff so that they can deliver service, particularly maternity services, round the clock.
In terms of disease outbreak, 127 Nigerians are said to have died from Lassa fever in 21 states between January and April in 2019, while the yellow fever outbreak recorded in the year, according to the World Health Organization, tripled as a total of 4,189 suspected yellow fever cases were recorded from January to December 2019. Nigeria's efforts to meet its human, animal and environmental health challenges led to the development and launch of the One Health Strategic Plan that integrates human, animal,
May we please rise as Mr. President alights. His Excellency is now proceeding to the saluting dais for the guard of honor. Distinguished guests, you may please be seated. The parade commander, squadron leader Hayat, now marches forward.
Guard up on the fly! Mounted by members of the Nigerian Air Force. Daniel's force! 150 element of fly! May I have your permission to march on the colors and the rest of the parade, Your Excellency.
The parade commander has just reported the state of the parade to His Excellency. And His Excellency is now returning to the VIP stand for the continuation of proceedings. May I please request we rise as the color marches off. It is traditional that we rise in reverence of the color as they represent very important regimental symbols in the military. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute. Thank you. Distinguished guests, you may please be seated. Any moment from now, the parade commander will march off the remainder of the guards in column of route. Your Excellency, marching to take position in front of the guards for the march off is the Nigerian Air Force Band. The band for today's parade is commanded by Flight Lieutenant Amos Olodude. And there is a march off in column of roads with the band leading. May I request a resounding round of applause for officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force who constituted this guard of honor. Thank you.
Welcome to the induction ceremony of two Agusta 109 power helicopters and Mi-171E combat helicopter into the Nigerian Air Force fleet, taking place at the Eagle Square, Abuja, this Thursday, 6th February 2020, and brought to you live by the Nigerian Television Authority. The President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, is the special guest of honor and is already present at the occasion, where proceedings are well underway, with a march past taking place in honor of His Excellency.
The special guest of honor, Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly here present, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, with the march of the guards, we have come to the end of the first segment of the program, the Guard of Honor segment. Next on the program is a welcome address by the Chief of the Air Staff. May I now most respectfully invite the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, Distinguished Flying Star, to please deliver his welcome address. The Chief of the Air Staff, sir.
The special guest of honor, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellency the Senate President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Chairman, Senate Committee on the Air Force, distinguished Senator Bala Ibn Allah, the Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly here present, Honorable Minister of Defense and other honorable ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, heads of government agencies and senior government officials, service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, representative of the CDS, former chiefs of defense staff and air staff, very senior military officers serving and retired, members of the Diplomatic Corps, officers, airmen, airwomen, members of Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association and Airmen's Wives Association here present, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am most profoundly honored and exceedingly delighted to welcome the special guest of honor, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and other very distinguished guests to the celebration of another great feat in the history of the Nigerian Air Force, the induction of 3 brand new helicopters into our order of battle. For the past decade, Nigeria has had its share of horrific national security challenges, especially terrorism and insurgency. The Nigerian Air Force, in concert with sister services, has confronted these insurgents and other enemies of the state to ensure the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of our dear nation is not undermined. This fight against insurgency and terrorism couldn't have been possible without the employment of modern combat platforms and equipment sophisticated enough to guarantee the protection of our national sovereignty and the safety of the communities where these asymmetric hostilities are perpetrated. Just 5 years ago, the Nigerian Air Force was facing very serious challenges with an abysmal 35% aircraft serviceability status for all operable aircraft. At the same time, terrorism, insurgency, and other heinous crimes were ravaging the nation, with improvised explosive devices exploding not only in the Northeast, but indeed in several urban centers, including the Federal Capital Territory. On assumption of office, His Excellency the President approved the procurement of military equipment, including fighter aircraft and helicopter gunships. This visionary step has profoundly impacted positively on Nigerian Air Force operations, not only in the Northeast where we are engaged fighting Boko Haram terrorists, but indeed in other theaters of operation across the country. Your Excellency's government has so far procured and inducted 22 aircrafts. Furthermore, the service is expecting 17 additional platforms, including 12 Super Tucano aircraft from the United States. In addition, the Nigerian Air Force, through its in-country maintenance capacity building program, is reactivating 3 fighter aircrafts and 1 Mi-35P helicopter gunship. Besides, the service has successfully conducted the in-country periodic depot maintenance of 2 C-130 transport aircraft. With the support of His Excellency, the service has undoubtedly come a long way from where we were in 2015. The resultant effect of these acquisitions and reactivations of grounded aircraft has been game-changing. Accordingly, the Nigerian Air Force has flown 36,853 hours in the fight against Boko Haram terrorists since 2015. The service in synergy with surface forces have substantially decimated Boko Haram from their previous positions of strength, forcing them to abandon their so-called caliphate headquarters in Goza. They are currently operating in small groups in ungoverned spaces in the Northeast, where they take advantage from time to time to attack soft targets. Similarly, the Nigerian Air Force has flown 8,559 hours in the non-traditional missions of aid to civil authority and civil power, using the same platforms acquired by this administration. These are appreciable improvements, even as we recognize that much more still needs to be done. Today, through the enormous support of this administration, the Nigerian Air Force is set again to induct another set of brand new platforms, 2 Augusta 109 power helicopter gunships and 1 Mi-171E helicopter in furtherance of its mandate to secure Nigeria and Nigerians. It will be recalled that 2 similar helicopters were inducted in April last year. As with those earlier platforms, these 2 additional Augusta 109 power helicopter gunships and 1 Mi-171 helicopter, which will be inducted today by Mr. President, will be deployed effectively in the fight against insurgency and terrorism and other forms of criminality. I therefore want to use this medium to assure Mr. President that the Nigerian Air Force, working closely with other security agencies, will not relent in our commitment and resolve to further decimate, defeat, and deter those seeking to undermine our security, peace, prosperity, and national unity. At this juncture, may I, on behalf of officers, airmen, airwomen of the Nigerian Air Force, express our deepest appreciation to the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for his support to the service. I want to also express our gratitude to Mr. President for creating the enabling environment for the service to function effectively. Your Excellency, your commitment to re-equipping and reorganizing the armed forces has added absolute value to our capability to conduct kinetic, logistical, and humanitarian operations. We are therefore most honored to restate our unalloyed loyalty to you, sir, and reaffirm our determination to ensure the security of our country. Your Excellency, despite all that you have done, like Oliver Twist, we are still going to ask for more platforms. We solicit that Your Excellency continue to support the Nigerian Air Force with more helicopter gunships and fighter aircrafts in our bid to build an Air Force with a qualitative edge to project air power both within and outside the country, as may be required in the pursuance of Nigeria's interests and the well-being of its citizens. We are also appreciative of the commendable support and understanding of the National Assembly, especially the Defense and Air Force committees that have worked assiduously and in harmony with the service to improve our operational effectiveness. May I also appreciate the Honorable Minister of Defense, the CDS, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, and my colleagues, the service chiefs, and Inspector General of Police for their tremendous support and the synergy we enjoy in various theaters of operation. Finally, Your Excellency, the Nigerian Air Force will continue to discharge its mandate relentlessly because we believe that in the race to add value to our society and secure our communities, there is no finishing line. Once again, I want to specially welcome His Excellency and other very distinguished guests for coming to this induction ceremony. Thank you and God bless.
That was
the Chief of the Air Staff there in his speech, taking a moment to recognize the role of the federal government in the acquisition of these platforms, as well as recognizing the key players in the security sector, including the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Magashi, the Minister of Interior, other service chiefs, the Inspector General of Police, the Speaker, House of Representatives, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Nigerian Air Force and Senate, and the Chairman, House Committee on Air Force, as well as the ambassador of Russia, the home country of one of the helicopters, that is the Mi-171E combat helicopter.
Members of the revered Special Operation Force of Nigerian Air Force Regiment. Accompanying them are members of the Air Provost Special Operations K9 Unit. And in a brief moment, they will commence the combat display. Any moment from now, the Special Force Commander will take permission to carry out with the combat drills.
Combat team, come up for display. May I have your permission? March up to J9 and carry on with display, sir.
Special Force Commander has been granted permission to carry on with the rest of the proceedings. Commander of the Special Operations Force for today is Flight Lieutenant Y.H. Abdullahi. In a short moment, Special Operations Forces will commence dry combat drills. The dry combat drills is to display combat proficiency as well as professionalism in weapon handling, tactics, techniques, and procedures, as well as other tactical drills. Combat capabilities of the Nigerian Air Force Special Forces include close quarter combat, fighting in built-up areas and woodblocks, air assault, hostage rescue, and other ground combat roles. Special Forces are equipped with numerous skill sets, one of such potent skills being the unarmed combat. A demonstration of this skill set will commence shortly after the dry combat drills currently being displayed. The unarmed combat is one of the oldest forms of fighting known to mankind. Despite the development of weapons technology, soldier, particularly a special force, may find himself in an empty-hand fight as a result of weapons failure, depleted ammunition, or a need for stealth. The special forces have now broken up into the U shape to commence dry combat drills of unarmed combat. The first scenario, the special force member disarming an enemy, attacking with a machete. The special force will disarm him using the Krav Maga, an ancient Israeli fighting technique. This skill is developed from specialized training at the regiment training centers of the Nigerian Air Force. Next up, disarming an enemy advancing with a rifle. Now, a special force member will disarm an enemy with an axe. And finally, special force member will disarm an enemy with a pistol. These skills are geared towards ensuring that all special force members are versatile and are deadly with or without arms or ammunition. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Nigerian Air Force Special Operations Forces. In a short moment, Special Forces will be breaking up into squads for the next phase of the combat display, which is the staged kidnapping. The Special Operation Forces are known as the Panthers due to their inherent speed, stealth, and versatility in executing high-risk missions. Despite the array of capabilities they possess, the Panthers will be displaying a few of them to entertain our august guests. To your half left are some of the kidnappers setting up an enemy location. Also, to your left are kidnappers who have apprehended some civilians. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look to your half right, the Special Operations Force Commander has commenced giving his quick battle orders, and on receipt of the distress call, will commence the rescue of the hostages. The Special Forces have commenced their advance to assault the enemy location. Presently, they are advancing using the arrowhead formation and will soon engage the enemies. The Special Operations Force have formed a baseline and are currently engaged in the caterpillaring movement and will soon come under enemy effective fire. The advance has begun, and any moment from now, they will commence suppressing the enemies with superior firepower. The assault has begun and the engagement has started. Members of the Special Operations Force unit have broken up to form an outer cordon. The Special Operations Force Commander has requested for reinforcements which will be arriving through the Bell 412 combat helicopter. The first wave of reinforcements will be arriving and will be inserted using the fast roping insertion and extraction system. Any moment from now, the combat helicopters will come in to insert the first wave of reinforcements. The fast roping insertion is one of the skill sets every Special Force member has to enhance their proficiency. And while the initial ground combat unit are holding their ground and engaging the enemy, part of the Special Operations Force unit have formed an outer cordon to secure the drop zone for the first set of reinforcements. To your right, the air assault team have arrived and will soon commence their drop to serve as reinforcements. The fast roping is quick and precise and thus reducing possibility of casualties. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the fast roping team. The first wave of reinforcements have successfully been inserted, and the commander of the first wave is quickly giving a quick battle order to ensure that every member of the team is in sync and is aware of every single action that is about to take place. Let me add that the first wave of reinforcements will secure the drop zone by forming an inner cordon for the second wave of reinforcements. They will be arriving using another form of insertion known as the rappelling. This is used for cold insertion in a controlled environment where the drop zone has already been secured for the second wave of reinforcements. In a short moment, to your right, the rappelling team will drop into the combat area. Let me also add that the second wave of reinforcements includes the Air Provost Special Operations K9. They are used as part of the Special Operations Unit and serve as a force multiplier. Amongst the rappellers are the military docking dogs, the military walking dogs. They are a form, a special breed of Dutch Shepherds. The first dog is named Aircraftman Amo, while the second dog is named Aircraft Woman Venus, and they are used for a variety of military operations. Let me inform the gathering that the initial ground combat unit are still engaging the enemy location while awaiting reinforcements to commence their final assault and round up the kidnappers. The commander of the second wave of reinforcements to your right is giving his quick battle orders to ensure that all members are in sync. And in a short moment, they will commence their advance, which they have begun, to marry up with the initial ground combat unit and commence their final assault on the enemy location. They have commenced their advance, and the dogs are chasing down a kidnapper who is attempting to run away. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the members of the Special Operations Forces. They have successfully commenced their final assault on the enemy location and have neutralized every single kidnapper while rescuing the hostages. Let me state that the Bell 412 combat helicopters are part of the platforms inducted by the present administration. In addition, the EC-135 helicopter, presently providing air cover for this August gathering, was also inducted by this present administration, all in an effort to boost Nigerian Air Force operations as well as the entire armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. To your left are members of the Special Operations Forces providing first aid to some wounded hostages. First aid is being provided by the Special Operations Force combat medics, which are part of every Special Operations Force unit. In a short moment, they will conduct the casualty evacuation and move to the extraction point, which has commenced. Thereafter, the combat helicopters will drop in to the drop zone and extract every single member of the Special Operations team as well as the rescued hostages. A round of applause as this has brought to the end of the Special Operations. May I now humbly hand over the microphone to Group Captain Ernest Bassi to continue with the rest of proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Squadron Leader Rekami Ngaru, for that commentary on that segment. Once again, may I request a round of applause for the Regiment Special Forces. It takes a lot of training, it takes a lot of determination and resilience to undertake these maneuvers. Indeed, the motto of the Nigerian Air Force remains willing, able, ready. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we shall now watch a short video clip on the capabilities of the newly acquired helicopters that will be inducted today. Also, in the course of proceedings, we will have an opportunity to appreciate the research and development efforts of the Nigerian Air Force. We now take the video clip. Thank you.
a documentary there being showing the capability of these aircrafts, notably the Mi-171E Russian helicopter. It is an advanced multi-purpose helicopter which can be deployed in search and rescue missions, disaster response, forest firefighting, and medical assistance in the field. while the Agusta 109 aircraft helicopters, combat helicopters, which are smaller in size and are faster, are used mainly in attack, and they are at the forefront of the operations in northeastern Nigeria in the fight against Boko Haram insurgents.
Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, for his remarks. The Honorable Minister, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The special guest of honor, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Senate President, Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Chairman Senate Committee on Air Force, distinguished Senator Balana Na'Allah, the Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, Honorable Femi Bayajamila, distinguished and honorable members of the National Assembly here present, honorable ministers of the Federal Republic here present, heads of government agencies and senior government officials, representative of the Chief of Defense Staff, service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, other service chiefs, former chiefs of Defense and Air Force, senior military officers serving and retired, members of the diplomatic corps, officers, airmen and airwomen, members of the Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association and Airmen's Wives Association here present, distinguished guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning to welcome His Excellency, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammad Buhari, to the induction ceremony of 2 Augusta 109 Power and Mi-17 helicopter into the Nigerian Army Infantry. I am particularly elated because the President, since assumption of office, prioritized national security at the top of his agenda, and part of it involves re-equipping the armed forces to enhance their operational effectiveness. We are indeed very grateful to Mr. President for his continued support to the armed forces of Nigeria. You all may recall that barely a year ago, the President inducted 2 Augusta 109 into the Nigerian Air Force Infantry to give impetus to our national counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency efforts. And the feedback indicates that these aircrafts are making a difference in the theater of operation. In view of these efforts, permits me to once again express my sincere gratitude to President Muhammad Buhari for his foresight, dogged leadership, despite several daunting challenges facing our dear country. The acquisition and the induction of these platforms, among other strides, is a testament to Mr. President's resolve to providing necessary equipment needed to combat contemporary security challenges bothering the nation. I must therefore remind you that the aircraft to be inducted today cost the nation a large sum of money, and as such, we must abide by its maintenance culture to sustain its survivability status for the nation and to get the best out of it. Let me, at this point, congratulate the Nigerian Air Force for recording this great feat, especially at such a trying time. I therefore encourage the officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force to continue to align their individual and collective actions with the vision of Mr. President to ensure that the objective of stability is achieved in this country. Finally, let me state that with this induction, we expect to receive more heartwarming feedbacks from the various theaters of operation and in no distant time curtail the security menace bedeviling our dear nation in order to create the enabling environment for economic activities in this country. Thank you all, and God bless.
That was the address by the Honorable Minister of Defense.
That was the Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Magashi, talking about strides being made in the defense sector. Recall that recently he received a U.S. delegation concerning various interventions in military operations, notably the supply of expected platforms from the U.S., that is the Super Tucano aircraft, and also how the acquisition of these platforms is making a difference in the theater of operations. As a testament to this administration's resolve to overcoming insurgency and other threats to security in the country. Before the minister's speech, we saw a simulation exercise by the Special Forces Regiment, which is also a force that was established in direct response to counter-terrorism measures in the country. Recall that the Chief of the Air Staff has also repeatedly stated that the boost in security and acquisition of various platforms and equipment for the Nigerian Air Force has been enhanced by the federal government led by President Muhammadu Buhari in line with commitments which he made in 2015 concerning security. And reports show that there has been a marked degrading of Boko Haram and other anti-state elements and a marked reduction in other criminal activities, especially since security operatives started working in synergy against this common threat to national security, peace, and unity, all under President Buhari.
The President of the Senate,
ably represented, Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives, members of the National Assembly, Honorable Minister of Defense, and other ministers present here, heads of government agencies and senior government officials, service chiefs, and the Inspector General of Police, members of the diplomatic corps, former chiefs of defense and air staff, senior military officers, serving and retired, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to be here this morning to once again commission 2 Augusta 109 Power and MI 17-1E helicopters into the Nigerian Air Force inventory. About a year ago, we commissioned 2 Augusta 109 Power helicopter gunships, which were procured from Italy. The platforms were subsequently inducted into the Nigerian Air Force inventory to boost the operational capability. This was necessary to improve delivery of robust air power in support of our counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency efforts. It is on record that these additional platforms have contributed immensely to the Air Force's successes and decimation of Boko Haram insurgents. The Nigerian Air Force, since its establishment in 1964, has been playing critical roles in national security as well as in peacekeeping operations on African continent. Your contributions in internal security, peacekeeping, and humanitarian operations in places like the Gambia, Guinea-Conakry, Mozambique, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, Guinea-Bissau, and Cameroon have not only been a source of pride to us as a nation, but has also projected us as a reliable regional power. This is indeed most commendable, as our Air Force, alongside other services, continues to play its unique role in the counter-insurgency operations and other operations, particularly in the Northeast and Northwest, where our officers, airmen and airwomen, soldiers and ratings are performing gallantly. I promised to put an end to Boko Haram insurgency, kidnapping, and other forms of criminalities that have bedeviled our country during my inaugural speech as president. You will all agree with me that the successes we have achieved so far have restored our pride and honor the world over. Consequently, I want to sincerely thank Nigerians for believing in our government in spite of occasional outrages coming together as a nation, irrespective of political, religious, and ethnic affiliations in our strive to bring this menace to an end. I want to once again salute the resolve of our armed forces and the invaluable contributions of all security agencies for their efforts towards the decimation of Boko Haram. It is noteworthy that professionalism, capacity building, and adequately equipping the armed forces and other security agencies are a major policy thrust of this administration. We promise to re-professionalize and re-equip the armed forces and security agencies to effectively discharge their duties to our nation. I have no doubt that the development of this Augusta 109P gunships and the Mi-171E helicopter would add impetus to the combat efficiency of the Air Force in combating our contemporary security challenges. We are committed to taking the right steps in achieving the desired results. The acquisition of these aircraft, among the other military equipment, despite our budgetary constraints, is an expression of our commitment. We shall ensure that every sector of our nation experiences the change that we have promised. I therefore expect discipline in operation and a strong maintenance culture that will enable the nation to derive maximum benefits from this acquisition. I commend the support of the governments of Italy and Russian Federation, in particular, efforts of the Italian and Russian ambassador to Nigeria as sustaining the strategic partnership between our countries, which facilitated this acquisition. We will continue to take steps that will deepen our bilateral relations. This administration has taken concrete steps to make the investment climate as friendly as possible for foreign investors, and we will strive to maintain this tempo. The degree of confidence of foreign investors in our country is growing, and efforts are ongoing to attract more foreign investment in the non-oil sector of the economy so as to achieve the level of diversification we desire to see in our economy. Finally, I congratulate the Chief of Air Staff and all the personnel of the Air Force on this occasion of the commissioning of the Augusta 109 Power and the Mi-171E helicopters gunships into the service. I hereby induct the two Augusta 109P gunships and the Mi-171E helicopter as NAF 578 and 579 into the service of the Air Force and our country. As you fly these aircraft, I wish you safe flying operations, safe skies, as well as equal number of takeoffs and landings. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That was the address by the special guest of honor. May I request another resounding applause for His Excellency for his kind words.
President Muhammadu Buhari formally inducting the aircraft into the Nigerian Air Force Fleet or Order of Battle. With this induction, the operational capability of the Nigerian Air Force has received a boost, and after the induction, the helicopters will be deployed to theaters of operations across the country to reinforce Nigerian Air Force operations against insurgency and other forms of criminality. not forgetting civil military operations like search and rescue missions and medical evacuations and supply of relief items to areas hit by natural disaster. Now, President Buhari reaffirmed his commitment to upgrading the armed forces of Nigeria to effectively discharge their duties to the highest standards of professionalism in order to achieve desired results. And now you can see the president walking over to inspect the newly inducted aircraft, which the president says he also expects a strict maintenance culture for all platforms. And this is one of the areas the Nigerian Air Force is making strides with its periodic depot maintenance being carried out at the 407 Air Combat Training Group, Kainji. The president there making the rounds, inspecting the newly inducted helicopters. The president is now approaching one of the 109 Agusta combat helicopters. Kristen NAF 578.
I'm Air Vice Marshal Charles O, the Air Officer Commanding Special Operations Command. This is part of the platforms that are for Special Operations Command. Here, sir, we have the Agusta 109AM, a light utility combat helicopter, and I have one of the crew here, Flying Officer Rotole, to give you a brief, sir. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Morning, sir. So we have here the Agusta 109EM. It is a military version of the Agusta 109 Power. It's a light utility aircraft with an all-of weight of 3,000 kilograms and a top speed of 140 knots or 262 kilometers per hour. It houses 8 seats. We have 2 in front for the PIC and the TWIC, and we have 6 behind for the passengers. We also have the front cockpit section. It is armored plated, as you can see, on both doors, and it is to protect the crew from ground fire in battle. To also increase survivability of both the crew and the aircraft, sir, the tanks are designed to be crash-worthy, which means that in the event of a crash, a post-crash fire in this sense will be highly impractical. We also have auxiliary tanks installed, which gives us an extended endurance of 3 hours, 20 minutes, and an additional range of 110 kilometers. The unique capability of this aircraft, sir, is its pilot control weapon system. We have the weapon system on the left. This is the rocket launcher, sir. It has Mach 40 rockets, and it has an effective range of 3,500 meters and a maximum range of 6,000 meters.
6 kilometers.
Yes. I'd like to take you to the other side, sir, to see the second weapon system.
This way. So, Your Excellency, maybe look at
So it's interesting to note that the president has been shown one of the combat helicopters by one of Nigeria's first female combat helicopter pilots. And now he's currently inspecting the Mi-171E helicopter, which has a wide range of operational capabilities. It is of Russian origin, and that's why even the ambassador to Russia is present at the occasion. So quickly again, the features of the Mi-171E helicopter. It is an advanced multi-purpose helicopter of Russian origin which can be deployed in search and rescue missions, disaster response, forest firefighting, and medical assistance in the field.
The capability of withstanding the heat, fusing it together and seal the hole. So there is no way this tank will get exploded. Another worry is the main gearbox, which is the life of this helicopter. Now the main gearbox is armor plated. So there's no how small ground fire can hit this aircraft. This way, sir. So like I said, sir, Your Excellency, you have the capability of carrying two. Yeah. Before, for you. Somebody's coming to that body. Can some close.
Inspection of the Mi-17E helicopter ongoing. This helicopter has been christened NAF 581, and you can see its size there. It's a pretty big helicopter as far as helicopters go because of its operational capability, which is mainly used in search and rescue operations, not forgetting medical evacuations and other important areas in the field. It is the sort of helicopter which is relied on to evacuate people in emergency situations, civilians and troops in emergency situations. The Chief of the Air Staff, himself conducting the president, showing him the ropes of the newly acquired helicopter. The service within the last 5 years has taken delivery of 21 brand new aircraft, including 10 Super Mushak, 5 Mi-35M helicopter gunships, 2 Bell 412 helicopters, and 4 Agusta 109 power helicopters. Besides these, 15 additional aircraft have been ordered by the federal government, which include 12 Super Tucano attack aircraft and 3 JF-17 Thunder multi-role fighter aircraft, making a total of 47 aircraft, which have either been inducted into the Nigerian Air Force or ordered for the service since 2015. While the President is inspecting NAF 581, that is the Mi-17E helicopter, let's quickly take a look at the Agusta 109 helicopters. The two helicopters, along with their associated equipment and spare parts, arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on board a Boeing 737-400 Cargolux airline aircraft from Italy on Armed Forces Remembrance Day, that's January 15, 2020, and was later assembled by Nigerian Air Force engineers and technicians in collaboration with a team from Leonardo, the aircraft manufacturer, preparatory to this induction ceremony.
Your Excellencies. Excuse me. And there was a backdoor gunner by the side, but with the 109 power, therefore we do not need to. But this was done through research and development. But you now have Agusta 109 power with integral power, weapon systems that are for more effective operations. Next, all the aircraft that have currently been inducted, there are 22, sir. 10 Super 5M, 4 Agusta 1 power, including the 2 inducted, which has been inducted, and 2 Bell 412s. These 2, and now we are expecting another 16. 2 Kano, 3 17, and an additional Mi-171. Next, sir, the flyable aircraft that have been handed is 3 EC-35 from NMPC, 2 101 from the Presidential Air Fleet, and 2 service. There are 5 others that we are still working on to reactivate, and this brings us to aircraft reactivation. So, with support of the federal government, the Nigerian Air Force has reactivated over 20 aircraft that were unserviceable. Includes the 228 from the Nigerian Immigration Service. 3 Mi-35P. I hasten to say that 1 reactivation is currently going on in Port Harcourt, so that will be the 4th one. Beechcraft was reactivated. The Mi-17 that had an incident actually reactivated before the hazard war caused mishap. L-39Zs, their current We have the Super Puma that is also in the northeast now, reactivated from a point of unserviceability where it is now. Considerable, sir, are the periodic depot maintenance of the C-130 Hercules. We just finished that of 913, 917 was done. The first time in the history of the Nigerian Air Force that successful periodic depot maintenance has been done. A third one is in progress. 3 Alpha Jet before, 3 currently ongoing in Kainji. And then the Falcon 900, which was not, now it's in use, and the 2ATR-42. The efforts of the research and development efforts and indigenous innovation of the Nigerian Air Force, which the Director of Research and Development will tell you more about, sir.
Thanks, Your Excellency. So the Chief of Air Staff has invested heavily in research and development, both in the area of capacity building by training of personnel up to PhD level and actual component production. And here before you, sir, is a 30.1 millimeter rocket. This and gray and brown portion is the fuse. This is the warhead. This is the propellant that propels it. It's to be vehicle mounted as well. It has a range of 3,000 meters or 3 kilometers. Next, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. So recently, the Nigerian Air Force got some helicopters from Abuja State. The Chief of Air Staff directed they should be armed, they should be militarized. And so the research and development team went ahead to produce a rocket pod, 2 rocket pods in fact. You may have seen the rocket pod on the Augusta 105, but this is a locally produced rocket pod that can be mounted on all of our aircraft, all on the Chief of Air Staff's directive. And that is the helicopter when we got it, and this it is after it has been armed with the rocket pods. This device is for testing in the range before we mount the live rocket on the aircraft. So over here on the ground, a typical snare rocket that is used for this rocket pod. These rockets are inserted into this rocket pod, and we have a six tube rocket pod here that we use on the other side, and 6 on the right side, making a total of. This computing device here, it was locally so that we can test the fidelity of the systems we have before we actually mount them on the aircraft because of safety issues, because we're dealing with high explosives. So it must work properly on the ground before we satisfy it to be mounted on an aircraft. Over here, sir, we also developed a very elaborate base inter-defense system. And this is a machine gun that we remotely operated from 3 kilometers away. You can find there's a trigger alarm system.
The president is now being conducted round exhibition stands set up by the Nigerian Air Force to showcase some of the innovations made locally with heavy emphasis on indigenous technology. The president is being conducted and shown some of these innovations by our very own technicians right here in the country, because the Nigerian Air Force says it is invested heavily in research and development to complement some of the newly acquired platforms, as well as the ongoing periodic maintenance, depot maintenance, which is taking place at the 407 Air Combat Training Group in Kainji. This is a procedure which was formerly done abroad, outside the country, costing the nation millions of naira. But since starting the process right here in Nigeria, in Kainji, by local Nigerian Air Force technicians, engineers and scientists, it has saved the country. It has saved a lot of cost and laid heavy emphasis on local production.
So we no longer need to go abroad. It saves us on time and saves us this is for the Mi-35. Also, sir, the Chief of Air Staff told us to look inwards, to look for local substitutes for some of the things we purchase from abroad. And so in collaboration with the Beto industry, we equivalents of from abroad. So these are all lubricants that the Nigerian Air Force is using. The same thing goes out. The Chief of Air also directed that we should look for many components, including batteries. And these are batteries for vehicles. But this specific, this is the battery that is imported from Russia for our Mi-35P helicopters. And in with Ibeto Industries on the director of Chief of Air introduce our own local battery. So this saves us on time and money. We no longer have to order from Russia. We go to get our batteries.
This is the original.
Yes, sir.
This is functioning very well. Much cheaper.
Over here, sir. Over here, sir.
Still talking indigenous technology, the Nigerian Air Force is explaining its collaboration with local industries such as Ibeto Group, which now manufacture batteries for our aircraft.
What has happened here is that the Chief of Air Staff directed that we use a means of testing these devices before we mount them on the aircraft. Because if you mount them on the aircraft when they are not, they could also damage the entire aircraft. So this device was developed to test this device on the ground before we mount it on the ground, as well also to power the aircraft by way of starting it. Over here. So the engine of an aircraft, small things such as this can damage it. So it's important in the environment in which aircraft operates that this falling up debris, the device means to pick them up before they are tested into the engine and damage goods worth millions of dollars. And so, Makodi, this is the first prototype of an FOD picker. And you can see this how FOD is. It was actually a very simple device using only magnetism. But research and development is in progress, and so they've developed the prototype number 2. It's not only electromagnetic, it's also a system. And so it helps us, instead of buying expensive equipment, have this to clear our runway and ensure safe operations of our aircraft. Next is an electric golf cart. This was developed at the Air Force Institute of Technology, and this is just the first stage. Ultimately, is to produce the vehicles that we can use on the front line to move, to tow aircraft, and to move carts around the place. It can also have civilian purposes apart from the golf, but in hospitals, in airports, and so on and so forth, sir. So, an important aspect of research and development is collaboration. And so on the directives of the Chief of Air Staff, the Nigerian Air Force has entered into MOUs with several, over 25 ministries, departments, and agencies that we have collaborations, that we have joint teams that develop and address specific challenges that the Air Force has in its operations. So from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, where we're developing a gyro system for Alpha Jet, to Obafemi Awolowo and University of Ibadan, where we're developing campo rations and meal ready to eat for our troops. Thank you very much, sir, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Very distinguished invited guests. The special guest of honor has just concluded inspection of the research and development stands and is now proceeding to the photograph stand for the group photograph.
That I should leave the place. Why do I carry myself? What do you want me to do? No, you are doing your work.
The ceremony is gradually winding down with a group photograph of key stakeholders and the president. Now, one might wonder why the serviceability of these aircraft is such a big deal. But one of the key areas is the counter-terrorism operations, as well as civil military operations, talking about rescue missions and medical interventions. Recall that recently a set of conjoined twins was airlifted by the Nigerian Air Force to a hospital to get emergency surgical procedure done on them, and that procedure turned out to be very successful. And now the Chief of the Air Staff is presenting a gift, a photograph, a portrait rather, of the President, as well as a miniature model of one of the combat helicopters to His Excellency. A model of the Abuja 109 combat helicopter.
Once again, may I request a resounding round of applause
for the formal induction ceremony of two Agusta 109 power helicopters and Mi-171E combat helicopter into the Nigerian Air Force Order of Battle at the Eagle Square, Abuja. Brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority. I am Najaa Tutujani, thanking you for tuning in and asking you to stand by for the rest of our programs on the NTA.
NTA, you come